The world is full of mysteries. We spend our entire lives seeking the answers, only to end up asking even more questions. We may never find the answers we were looking for. What is wrong with that? A great pirate doesn't seek the treasure at the end of the map. No, it's the searching that is the true adventure. Ignite your soul aflame and let your heart lead the way, cause the adventure is only beginning.
Now that's what I call an intro, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, I miss the good old days when One Piece would start with a Rogers quote. I hope they bring that back near the end of the series. Those always got me hyped to watch the episode, even back when I was still a little kid and didn't like One Piece. Yes, I hated One Piece growing up because I saw the 4Kids heavily censored version of it, and I thought it was stupid compared to something like Naruto, which I watched on Toonami in all of its gory glory. So yes, despite me actually hating the series back then, I still love the Roger quotes. They supported the character's sense of adventure and exploration. So inspired by some of those quotes, I decided to explore the mysteries of One Piece and come up with some potential answers to some very important questions that we still have after the end of Wano. Yes, I know in the last One Piece video, I said I wouldn't be making predictions about the series, but I changed my mind. And besides, this is more about what's happening with people rather than predicting major events, plus I have fun doing it. These questions are some that I picked up from watching YouTubers and reading forums, but also some questions that I myself have. And the answers are my personal take on what I would like Oda to do. He is most likely not going to do this, but then again, I didn't think he would actually have Crocodile ally himself with Buggy. And look what happened. In honesty, I was glad when I saw that because we finally have Crocodile back in the story, but I'm also a little mad at myself because I didn't predict Mihawk would also ally himself with Buggy. It was so obvious, mainly because people were theorizing that the reason Buggy became an emperor is because Shanks talked him up to the Gorosei. He was a certain pirate he wanted to talk to them about because he needed the 4th emperor to be someone he could control, so he could start making moves to get the One Piece or defeat Blackbeard. Hey everyone, a quick editor's note here. I'm sure you guys have already read chapter 1058 by now, and know that Mihawk was actually allying himself with Crocodile so they could start the Cross Guild. And Crocodile wanted Buggy to collect the money he owed him. And Buggy, being broke at the time, offered his crew to work as free labor for Crocodile to spread the word about the Cross Guild. And Buggy's crewmates made it look like Buggy was in charge. So I was completely wrong about why Mihawk joined the Cross Guild. In all honesty, this entire chapter was a surprise with the fact that Crocodile and Daz Bone single-handedly defeated Stainless and his fleet. It really shows how much the Marines are lacking in pure strength. Also, Mihawk used to be called the Marine Hunter? There is a lot more I want to unpack here, but not in this video. Honestly, I don't think there is a lot to discuss about this chapter for an entire video, so I might just make a short video and post it on TikTok or something. You know what, this is actually a perfect way for me to plug my TikTok. I'm thinking about posting more or less edited stuff on there where I give my thoughts on things I'm watching or reading. I do tweet about these things every now and then, but sometimes I want to say more than what I could say in a tweet. So if you're interested, both are linked in the description. I might talk about what's going on in this chapter with the Marines, Mihawk, and Dragon, seeing as how he said he won't forgive Sabo if he actually killed King Cobra. We may learn about it in the next chapter, seeing as how Dragon was reviewing Kuma's log and Sabo called at the same time, so Dragon can confirm if whatever Sabo says is true. Wait, hold on. Did Kuma's... He did. Okay, I'm going to add another question to the video right now, before I send you back to the original one I recorded. Okay, what is Dragon's backstory? The reason this wasn't included in the original video is because we know nothing about Dragon. And Oda just gave us a huge hint in this chapter. When Dragon asked Kuma to review his log, Kuma said, "Your wish is my command," implying one of two things. Maybe Vegapunk programmed Kuma to follow Dragon's orders, so that when the Revolutionary Army eventually rescues him, he won't fight them. But then again, we see in this chapter that the Marines have several wiretaps in place, including one that records the Revolutionary Army's communication network. So how would Vegapunk be able to get away with doing something like this? There's no way he would not have been found out, right? So my second theory on this is that Kuma's programmed to obey the Celestial Dragons. So this is implying that Dragon was formerly a Celestial Dragon. Seeing as how Garp was a part of saving the Celestial Dragons during the God Valley incident, maybe he met and fell in love with a Celestial Dragon afterwards. Or heck, maybe it was before, and he was protecting her and Dragon during that incident. Maybe it was a secret love affair and eventually the other Celestial Dragons found out and had her killed off while Dragon managed to escape. And that's when he formed the Revolutionary Army. So that's the only thing I wanted to say from this chapter. Everything else will be made into a TikTok or a YouTube short. I'll see you in the future. Anyways, let's send you back to the original video. So the first question I have is, who is Blackbeard's 10th Titanic captain? The initial assumption is Aokiji, mainly because we know he has some type of connection to Blackbeard. It just hasn't been stated what that connection is yet. Personally, I don't think he's the 10th Titanic captain. Mainly because if he was, it would have been stated by now, right? especially during his conversation with Smoker. He made us straight up just told them that yes, he is a member of Blackbeard's crew and a high-ranking one at that. But he sort of vaguely answered that he does have some type of connection, mainly because the fact that he's no longer a Navy Admiral allows him to see the world more clearly. He also implied that he has some connection to the underworld. So my assumption is he's Blackbeard's connection to the underground, similarly to what Doflamingo did for Kaido. Doflamingo helped cultivate the smile fruit for Kaido, while Kaido provided him with weapons and sea prism stones from Wano to sell. Maybe Aokiji's doing something similar with Blackbeard. So if that's the case, who is the 10 Titanic captain? It has to be someone we know, otherwise we would have received a name for the 10 Titanic captain. The fact that he's been left ambiguous and almost non-explained means it's someone we know, and Oda's just setting up a grand reveal. So I believe the 10 Titanic captain is Arlong. Now the reason I think that is, Arlong was supposed to be in Impel Down. So last we saw him, it was during the Arlong Park arc when he was being arrested and being taken to Impel Down. The only other time we've seen him was in a flashback for Fisher Tiger. We didn't get a single glimpse of him during the Impel Down arc. This could imply he was taken somewhere else. Like, I've seen a couple of theories stating he was taken to Marijwa and is currently a slave to the Celestial Dragons, but I find that very hard to believe at the moment. I just simply think Luffy just never ran into him, unlike all the other members from his past. So what if Luffy missed him, but Blackbeard ended up running into him? And maybe Blackbeard saw sort of like the hate and rage in his eyes and thought he would be a good crew member for the era he's trying to create. So maybe during the 2-year time skip, Arlong bought into Blackbeard's the strong should devour the weak ideology. And maybe from then on, he sort of started spreading chaos and destruction wherever he went, and he became one of the most ruthless members of the Blackbeard crew, and eventually gathered enough forces of like mermen who hated humans and had sort of like this vendetta against them similar to Horde. And as a result, he grew strong enough and influential enough to become a Titanic captain. So the whole reason Arlong hasn't been introduced yet as the 10 Titanic captain is because Oda wants to have a grand reveal during the war against Blackbeard, which will most likely take place during Laugh Tale. And it's probably going to go down with Arlong running into Jinbei and Nami, and having this whole heated debate about whose ideology is correct, whether it's Luffy's or Blackbeard's. As a result, Arlong and Jinbei are going to have this massive battle, and Nami will most likely join in, or she might actually tell Jinbei to not interfere, and she will then get the chance to have her true revenge against Arlong. And honestly, this will be a good way to reintroduce Arlong back in the series, similarly to how Oda reintroduced Crocodile as one of Buggy's allies along with the Cross Guild. Alright, next question is, what happened to Weevil and Hancock? So by the time the warlord system was abolished, we had 5 warlords in total. That being Kuma, Buggy, Mihawk, Weevil, and Hancock. We all know Kuma was a slave of the Celestial Dragons at the time, and by the time it was abolished, he had already been saved by Sabo and the other revolutionary members. And then there was Buggy, who became an emperor, Mihawk, who allied himself with Buggy and formed the Cross Guild, and then all that was left would be Weevil and Hancock. Now, there are 3 possible situations. The first is they're still fighting the Marines and successfully holding them off. Second, they were actually captured by the Marines and were taken to Impel Down or Marine HQ. And then the third, and in my opinion the most likely situation, they were captured by Blackbeard and are currently on the Hachinosu, the Pirate Paradise. The reason I think this is because Blackbeard had stated that he wasn't going to let the Marines have it. I had initially assumed it was Sabo and the Meta no Mi. So seeing as how Sabo wasn't captured by the Marines, the only other thing he could have been talking about would be the warlords. And seeing as how Hancock and Weevil have yet to be mentioned, it can easily be assumed he managed to succeed in capturing them, and he's currently holding them hostage on the Hachinosu or the Pirate Paradise. So now one of 2 things could be happening if they are held there. He could either A, be trying to convince them to join his crew, or B, simply have stolen... I was about to say steal their devil fruit, but then I remembered Weevil doesn't have one, only Hancock does, and... unless one of the side effects of the devil fruit is to turn you into the most beautiful person in the world, I don't think it's going to be useful to any one of his crew members. Because, well, they're all ugly. It's not really worth it for any of his Titanic captains to eat it. So yeah, I think he's only trying to recruit them. In Hancock's case, he wants her to gain control of the Amazonians, who are all very beautiful women. And as we know, Blackbeard loves surrounding himself with beautiful women. But we also know the Kujo pirates are all very powerful fighters, capable of using Haki to a varied degree. So getting the Amazonians to work under him would instantly boost his crew's combat ability. Also their beauty rating as well, because God knows they need it. So if that is the case, and he's using Hancock as a hostage to get the other Amazonians to work under him, and Luffy hears about this, that could be the setup for him clashing against Blackbeard. But then again, Hancock is really strong enough to hold off the Marines, I'm assuming, but what about Blackbeard? Is he strong enough to hold back him and his crew? That is highly unlikely, and if he did go after them, it's more likely than not that they were defeated, especially if they had been fighting the Marines the whole time. They're not going to be at 100%. So yes, I do think she is held hostage by Blackbeard. Weevil probably will want to avenge Whitebeard's death, but his mother Baki would rather join the Blackbeard crew to gather as much treasure as possible and possibly even hunt down other members of Whitebeard's allied fleet. And Hancock's confinement admit will be the spark that starts the war between the two Yonko crews. Alright, next question up is a simple one. Are Big Mom and Kaido still alive? And to just quickly answer it, yes, I do believe they are still alive. With Oda, there is a rule of thumb. If you don't see a body, they're still alive. Or in this case, if we haven't seen the Vivid card burned to ash, they're not dead yet. Now, as to why I think Oda's keeping them alive, they may have a bigger role to play in the upcoming arcs, like maybe in Laugh Tale or even in the war against Blackbeard. Blackbeard could end up capturing them and stealing their devil fruits, or maybe convince them to work under him and join his crew. But you know what? Big Mom and Kaido are too strong and unpredictable to control, so I don't think Blackbeard will take the risk to try to recruit them. Nah, it'd make more sense for him to simply kill them and steal their devil fruit. In which case, this would be the perfect way to showcase how he steals devil fruit abilities. We can finally learn how he stole Whitebeard's good Nomi. From the moment that happened, I had always assumed he simply stole Whitebeard's heart and ate it, and that's how he gained his devil fruit ability. So this situation will be the perfect opportunity to show us how he actually did it, and probably confirm my theory. I'm sure there are still a couple Titanic captains who don't have devil fruits. We know Burgess for one doesn't. He might end up getting the Ua Numi model Azure Dragon. And who would get the Soul fruit? Honestly, I can't think of anyone on the top of my head. Maybe the Mad King? He might get it. But I can't say with absolute certainty that he doesn't already have a devil fruit. You know what? It doesn't matter. All that matters is that I believe Kaido and Big Mom are alive, and they're going to play an important role in the upcoming arcs. Alright, now we're getting into the really important question here, folks. And the very first one is really easy to answer. Did Aramaki shit himself? I have the image pulled up right here. And the moment he was struck by Shanks' Conqueror's Haki, he went from a battle-ready pose to a leg spread, back bent backwards, head face up pose. And for the rest of the time he's on screen, his legs remain spread. Even as he's leaving, it looks like he keeps his legs spread apart. So in other words, he's wobbling away trying to make sure nothing starts falling down his pants. So in other words, yes, he definitely shit himself. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, I have just received word that we have actual footage that verifies this claim. I'll go ahead and roll the tapes for you all.
I think I made him shit himself.
I think he just shit himself.
I think he just shit himself.
Good Lord, this guy shit himself big time.
See, I told you I made him shit himself.
Yo, I make sure I send them books to the hospital, pimp.
And some diapers.
And there you have it, folks. Undeniable proof that Aramaki shit himself. Now this next question is a little complicated to answer. Will Yamato get a bounty after what happened at Wano? Now looking back at the events of Onigashima, I have to ask, what did Yamato do exactly? I mean, yes, she did fend off some of the Tobi Roppo, yes, she did fight against Kaido, and yes, she did prevent the entire island from exploding, but she didn't beat a single member of the Tobi Roppo, she got her ass beat by Kaido, and her preventing the island from exploding went unnoticed by everyone, including CP0, who would have otherwise reported it to the world government. So in their minds, Yamato is irrelevant. She didn't do anything. Well, actually, now that I think about it, she did defeat one member of the numbers. But other than that, Yamato was pretty much just there. She didn't really have a major impact that anyone could actually feel or see. We, as the viewers, know full well Yamato put in work. But does the world government know that? No. Did CP0 mention anything about her? No. Do they know anything about Yamato outside of her being Kaido's son? Honestly, I don't think they even know that. I mean, they may know the existence of Kaido's son, but they don't know it's Yamato, especially since Yamato is actually a woman. But she wants to be Kazuki Oden, so she became Kaido's son. And there's also the fact that Yamato is not a straw hat. She chose to remain at Wano and pretty much travel around and eventually go out to sea. I'm not mad. I'm cool. So no, I don't think Yamato will get a bounty. Mainly because the bounty system is meant to show how much of a threat an individual is to the Navy, and in turn the world government. So as long as Yamato remains on Wano, the world government will not view her as a threat. Alright, next up is, does Blackbeard know about Joy Boy? Now the reason I'm asking this question is, we already know how much the other 4 emperors know, or previous 4 emperors since Big Mom and Kaido are out. So when it comes to Big Mom, we know she doesn't know anything about Joy Boy because no one on her crew could read the poneglyphs. There is pudding in her third eye, but it hadn't awakened during Big Mom's life. We knew Kaido knew a little bit about him because King was a Lunarian and he had worshipped Joy Boy as a god. So he would have for sure told Kaido a fair bit about him. We know Shanks knows a lot about Joy Boy because he was a part of Gold Roger's crew during his voyage to Laugh Tale. Not only would have Rogers told Shanks about the One Piece and Joy Boy as well as the Void Century, but he also had Kazuki Oden on his crew who could have easily translated the poneglyphs, and that's where Shanks would have learned more about Joy Boy. So what about Blackbeard? Since he was a part of Whitebeard's crew, he may have known a little bit about him, especially since Kazuki Oden was the 2nd Division commander. Oh wait, Oden learned about Joy Boy in the Void Century during his voyage with Rogers, and after the voyage was over, he returned to Wano. So it's highly unlikely that he learned about it from Oden. But remember, Whitebeard protected Mermaid Island, and the merfolk held a lot of respect for him because of it. So it's possible that King Neptune may have told him about Joy Boy's apology letter. Then Whitebeard could have told his crew, or I would like to think that Blackbeard eavesdropped on the conversation instead. Whitebeard may have known he was there, but just ignored him. Oh, also remember, Blackbeard has a lot of information about the One Piece universe that we the readers knew nothing about, like how to steal other people's devil fruits, for example. He could also know about Joy Boy from his own independent research. Heck, he may even know about the Hito no Mi model sun god Nika. Cause I mean, think about it, Burgess did try to steal the Gumu no Mi from Luffy, back during Dressrosa. Why would he do that if the Gumu no Mi was seen as a weak and pathetic fruit that requires years of training to be able to use to a high degree? Unless Blackbeard already knew about Joy Boy and sun god Nika and was fully aware of the Gumu no Mi's true ability. In which case he could have told his crew members and then Burgess would then want to steal it. So all in all, yes, I do think Blackbeard knows all about Joy Boy. Whether it was from his own research, he learned it from Whitebeard and Mermaid Island, or even Kazuki Oden. Now for the last and my favorite question of the video, what are Shanks and Buggy's past? We recently learned from a pamphlet that was handed to the people who went to go see One Piece Film Red that Rogers found Shanks in a treasure chest on God Valley. I do believe it was stated that it was after the battle was over that he found him, so from that fair bit of info we can assume a couple of things. One is that the chest probably came from a resident of God Valley or from Rox's ship. I'm leaning more towards the former because I highly doubt Rogers would have been able to make it to Rox's ship with the Marines right there. So he probably just snatched and ran with whatever treasure was in the immediate vicinity. So who resided on God Valley? If you guessed Eneru, you are correct because Eneru is the only god we have met in the series. So Shanks is clearly related to Eneru. Okay, in seriousness, it was the Celestial Dragons. So chances are Shanks is related to the Celestial Dragons, seeing as how he can hold sway with the Marines and the world government. In reference to him ending the Paramount War just by showing up, and the fact that he can have a private meeting with a Gorosei despite him being a pirate. Now, how does Buggy fit into this? Since Buggy joined the crew around the same time, we can assume that he may have also been picked up at or near God Valley. Now from this point on, it's all just speculation based off of Oda's writing style. Assuming Buggy was picked up at God Valley, what are the chances that on his deathbed, Rox asked Roger to do him a favor? You could see where I'm going with this, right? What if Buggy is Rox's son? Okay, let me tell you how I ended up with this theory. It started with me looking back to Roger asking Garp to take care of Ace for him. Now at first, this seems strange, but then again, Roger and Garp had been fighting each other for a very long time. So Rogers knew more than anyone how merciful Garp is. He knew Garp wouldn't condemn a child simply for being related to someone. Then I got to thinking, what if something similar happened to Roger? What if Rox had asked Rogers to do the same? And that's how Buggy joined Roger's crew. Roger took pity on the child and took him in to protect him. Then he gave him a clown nose as a way to disguise him from the eyes of the world government. That's what I believe happened. Again, no basis for this, but I have made a couple of successful predictions by implementing this method. So we'll see how things turn out. And that's all the questions I have for today. Tell me, what do y'all think of these predictions? Are some of them a little too out there? Have any of you thought something similar? Or am I just some nutjob posting stupid shit that have no business being suggested? Anyways, with all that being said, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and remember to keep having fun. See ya!